Hi, I'm Anne from Game Like a Mother, and this is my November game chat. November is the month where people really start having the opportunity to do some board games with family, specifically extended family at holiday gatherings, which can be so much fun. You can make such great memories together playing games, but it can be a little bit tricky too because it is really important to find the right type of game for the audience of people you're playing games with. We've had things where family gatherings where we've picked a fantastic game and it's worked really well. And we've had a few times where we picked something that was maybe a little bit trickier than the audience we were playing the game with. And it would have been better if we'd picked something that they would have been a little more successful at. Although everyone was a good sport and tried it and we had fun and laughed. So just play the games and you can figure it out from there. But incidentally, the OP Games partnered with Triazon to send a few more games out this past month, and what they sent were two of my go-to favorite party games to play with family, Blank Slate and Telestrations. Blank Slate is relatively new, and basically the goal of the game is you're trying to get the most points by writing in answers to prompt cards. And the trick is you want to have your answer match somebody else's. You get 3 points if it matches exactly one person. You get 1 point if your answer matches a bunch of other people. And you get 0 points if you don't match anybody. So very simple game premise, so fun to play. You end up doing where you're kind of trying, everybody's trying to read each other's minds, and there will be a prompt. The prompt on the side of the box is blank, then house. So what would you write in before that? And you say, oh, okay, maybe I should write Full House because we watched that show, but oh, are they going to be thinking about that, or are they going to be thinking about Dog House instead? Is that a more... So you end up kind of psyching yourself out, which is pretty funny, but it's really simple, really fun. And this was one of the ones we played via Zoom at one point during the height of the pandemic, and it works really well on Zoom. So this is great if everybody isn't able to be together for a holiday and you're doing some sort of call where you can see each other. You can have an activity and play a really simple game that's quick and fun for everybody. So big points for this one. And then they also sent Telestrations, which is basically the old game Telephone meets Pictionary. You're taking turns with a prompt. You have to draw the picture and then everybody passes it around, and then you have to write down what you think the picture is you see in front of you. Then you pass it, and what the word in front of you, you have to then draw a picture of. So it's very similar to Telephone. And this, we've had an absolute blast every time we've played it. I've played this with a troop of Girl Scouts. I played this with friends at a board game night. They did send us, Triazon sent us the original 8-person version of this game where it goes up to 8 people. And we left that with our friends that we played it with because they enjoyed it so much. And we already had this 12-player party pack, so we were set. But it's just one where it's hilarious. Win or lose, you're going to have a fun time. And that's really, to me, the key of the holiday gaming. You want one where everyone's going to have a good time no matter what happens in the game. So that's where social games are just fantastic and probably your best choice for that kind of situation. Other events that are coming up these days, class parties. For my children's Halloween celebration at their elementary school, I was asked to lead some board games for the class parties, and what I selected was on a scale of 1 to TRex by the makers of Exploding Kittens. It's a game for people who are bad at charades. It's a perfect kid-level party game, and it's not a secret what you're acting out. You have a card in front of you and everyone knows you're trying to act like a T-Rex, or you're trying to act like you're driving a car really fast, or you're trying to act like you've just discovered that you have fingers. It's just really funny prompts. What you are trying to determine is the level of intensity in which you are acting out your charade. So you could be a T-Rex level 1 and you're just a cute little T-Rex. Or you could be a T-Rex level 10 and you are roaring and stomping and going nuts. And you're trying to find whoever else is acting out on the same intensity level. So maybe somebody's driving that car just super crazy, or they're just doing a little. So that's what it is. Kids love it. It's hilarious. It's fun. It is, I would go by the player count on this box because it's 2 to 8 players typically. And I did it in a class of 20 second graders, which was a lot. It was very loud. Some of the kids had a bit of a tough time with how loud it got, which is no fault of the game. It's because I adjusted it a little bit. I made it simpler and just threw it at 20 kids and we acted out stuff and we had a fun time. So it's a great game. It can be tricky to find social games that kids are really into. I was very happy with this game, but I am looking for other options for future class parties. There's quite a few more coming up. So if anyone has some genius suggestions to throw my way, I would love to hear them because it's got to be a game that can be played with like 20 kids at once, instructed and played within a 10-minute time window. And it doesn't have to be everyone at once, but it makes it easier if it is. So if you have any ideas, I have a few more options that I'm thinking about, but suggestions would be very welcome on this one. Next up, we're going to talk about the mini games we've been testing out and playing this past month. I have been chatting with Blue Orange about all of their games that I love. They're the makers of King Domino, famously, but they have a whole host of other amazing, excellent games that they create, and they sent me a sampling of some new ones to test out and enjoy. I was very excited. I had a bunch of these on my list that I already wanted to try out. Bubble Stories, I was very interested in. It's a game, it was geared as like a escape room type game for 4-year-olds. I'd say it feels more like a choose your own adventure. It's a very positive experience where you're just flipping over cards and choosing which bubble path to follow and trying to get to the different items that you're supposed to succeed at whatever level or story you're following along. This one comes with 3 different stories, and my 3-year-old, who's pretty close to 4, loves this game and wants to play it on repeat, which is great because I was a little bit worried. It seems like once you've played through the story, then you kind of know the story, and they talk about, oh, there's memory component where you just try to remember and not go to any of the dead ends. So it's interesting to see how much that is true for my 3-year-old. And I think it works really well for younger kids. They don't mind, these are the kids that have their favorite TV episode that they just watch over and over again, and it's familiar and happy. So it kind of feels like that's what's happening here. It's familiar and happy. She's enjoying going through the story. It feels very safe to play. I appreciate that it's cooperative and we can play it together, but she can set it up on her own, my 3-year-old, and she's able to show her siblings how to play and grandparents. So it's been very good. I'm not sure. This isn't one that in 3 or 4 years she'll still be playing, but that's okay. There can be some games like that. And they do have a Christmas-themed version of this that is out. That sounds really fun. They also sent me Bag of Chips, which, spoiler, Pandasaurus sent me a Nacho Pile. There are 2 kind of chip bag-themed games out simultaneously. I don't know why that's a thing right now. I like both of them, but they're good for slightly different. They're very different games. They're good for different demographics of players. This one it's kind of feels like a mix of point salad and a little bit of Texas Hold'em poker without the gambling. If that makes sense. You have a certain number of goal cards, and as chips are being played out, there's a certain number of chips on each round that are played out, and you can say, what's the probability that one of my goal cards is going to make it or not? And you get to discard a few, but then at the end, you're left with 3 goal cards, and 2 you put on the plus side of your little equation you're making, and 1 you put on the minus side, and you lose points if that one comes true, and you get points if the other ones come true. So it's very quick. I played it with my ladies' game night last night, and everybody got it like that. and we had a fun time playing it together. So it's very quick. I would say this is more for a slightly older audience than Nacho Pile. That's the gameplay is different, and that works well for slightly younger ages. Both are good independently, so we've been enjoying this one. The shining star, though, of the games they sent me has been Pop the Box. This is the box that it came in, and it is the game. I mean, they say it on the cover of the box. It's the game Shut the Box, but in Pop-It form. And if you have a child, I don't know, under the age of 18 right now, you know about Pop-Its. Kids love Pop-Its. They're the fidget toy that they all go nuts for. And in this game, it's exactly the same as Shut the Box. You just have 2 dice, you roll them, and then whatever, so they rolled a 9 here, whatever number you roll, you can pop any combination of numbers that add up to that. So rolled a 9, you could just pop the 9, or you could pop the 8 and the 1, or the 7 and the 2, or so on. And your goal is to pop as many of the spots on your side before you roll something where you can't pop it. And if you're really good, you pop the box and they all have been closed. And so it's such a simple game. And everyone's been playing it a ton at my house. My older daughter and my older son, it was sitting out on the counter, so they were playing it before they left for school this morning. And those two don't often just play games together, the two of them. So that was very special. My daughter, who's 9, was telling him about how we're going to bring it on our trip that's coming up. And it's great because you can play it on an airplane or in the car. And she thought that Grandpa would want to play it with her. So it works well for really any audience. I'm thrilled that it's silicone because during the summer you can take it to the pool, to the beach. It can be played in windy conditions. So it's pretty ideally suited, and it's just so quick and satisfying and simple. So pretty awesome. Thrilled about that. They also sent Junk Jumble, which was a game that, based on theme, I was a little concerned about because sort the junk doesn't sound like the most fun, but it's a simple and unique memory game that works well beyond just the flipping over the tiles that like 3 and 4-year-olds play. This is for ages 6 and up, is appropriate for that age level, and is fun. You have different cards and you're trying to remember which drawer those items are in, and you can pick if you want to be looking for a lot of items. If you remember a bunch of things, you get more points, or if you just remember a couple each time, and there's some different strategies. So it's pretty quick to play, a nice twist, and it is difficult to find good memory games for older than 3 or 4, so this is pretty unique and nice. Speaking of memory games, they also sent Tongues Out, which they have another game called Pengaloo, which this is very similar to. You're rolling 2 dice and you're trying to find the penguin that have the correct colored egg underneath them. And in this, they're pugs, and you boop their little heads or squeeze the side and their tongue pops out and you see what color lollipop they have been eating. And you're trying to match the dice to the color of their little tongues. My 3-year-old daughter is obsessed. She just keeps on playing with these. And it's I really like just standard memory games. They're good for kids. They're fun to play. And this one is both toy and game, which I appreciate for this age level. And then finally, the last game Blue Orange sent was Ice Hoppers, which was another surprise hit for me of the bunch. I wasn't really sure what to expect here, but it's a cooperative game in which little penguins have gone out on the ice and they need to get back before the sun goes down. And you're drawing out pieces of ice and sliding them underneath this small cliff, in order to push them out by the penguins, and then they can hop one space at a time to get back. They have shiny ones frosty tiles that they can slide across and go an extra spot. And we played this simple gameplay They have a version, they have some extra tiles that have sea lions on them, which was an item of concern for me first when they've introduced a predator into the child board game. But you just can't go on those spots. The penguins avoid those spots, so it just makes it a little bit harder. No one gets eaten. But I get my 9-year-old daughter and my 3-year-old daughter were playing this independently. My 9-year-old was able to help the 3-year-old, and they were having a blast playing with this. They played the game, and then they just wanted to play with the pieces afterwards because it was so cute. So I'm thrilled with a good cooperative game. This actually has some good strategy and teamwork as part of it. And penguin theme, super cute. The other company that sent me a few games was Pandasaurus. They sent me Nacho Pile and Splitter. Nacho Pile is like a push your luck game in which you're just pulling out tokens and you're trying to not have the same number come out. So very simple. My 3-year-old, I've been home with my 3-year-old, and I thought, I'll see if she can do this game. She could sort of handle some of it. She knew to say that she went bust when she pulled out 2 5s one time. So she could handle it. She maybe wasn't on top of like the probability of level of strategy, but she got the basics down. And it's fun. It's really fun to play. Very simple. It's a little bit easier. I like that it's 2 to 6 players. This would be a good one to bring along to a family event because it's simple and you can help people that haven't played a lot of games. If it's somebody who hasn't played a lot and it's all public knowledge what they're pulling out of the bag, you can provide some assistance and say, I think you should stop now because you have all these different things out. So that's also nice. But it's cute. It works well. We're fans. Although they also sent me Splitter, and it's a roll and write game, and these more and more just end up being my favorites. And this one is very unique. You have your rolling dice, and on your board is divided down the middle, and the only rule of the game is you have to do like a mirror image placement of the dice. So if you put a 5 on a certain spot, and a 5 and a 1 are rolled, then the 1 has to be on the mirror image spot of that on the other side of the board. And you just score based on 1 dot. If it's a 1, it has to be all by itself. 2 has to be in pairs of 2. 3s, you're going to want to have in groups of 3, and so on. So I love games that have such a simple premise, but are interesting and strategic as you play. My only complaint about this game is it's a bunch of it's paper tear-off pads, and we're going to go through all of them, so I need to run out and laminate some. And this works really well for a group, too. So, awesome. And then finally, I love it when I'm contacted not just by like the bigger game companies, but some of the independent publishers. People come up with really fun and unique games, and Low Tech Games sent me their game Name the Thing, and it's basically like an apples to apples type game, but with a different theme. And instead of you just put out a prompt card, and then everybody gets to draw. They get to play either 2 to 4 cards down, trying to come up with a fun and cute name for whatever has been placed out there. So their example in the back is the thing would be pop band dance move, and the name someone could come up with is a piercing fire bat. Which is so I like games like these are so great at family gatherings because it's fun no matter who wins or loses. Everyone's laughing as they're playing. It's really easy to get up and running. It works for virtually any player count over 3. So unique, fun. So that's it. I have a bunch of Christmas themed games we went through and played this past month as well. Halloween Day was spent playing a ton of the Funko stocking stuffers, which was a little bit off theme for the day, but I needed to play them so I could put them on some of my top 10 lists coming up. So you can check out all the top 10 lists on my channel if you want to hear about all of the amazing, wonderful Christmas games that we got to play. But really, for family gatherings, it's such a great way to create memories together, and it's so easy to do. There are lots of good options out there. So I hope you find a good game, make some memories with your family. Thank you, and I'll see you next time from Game Like a Mother.